Now we got something called justice. So even in our national anthem, there is something called, if I would quote it correctly, it says, it talks of justice. Justice is it makes part of our national anthem. Justice be our shield and defender. May we thrive in peace and unity. So now, justice is given a very big edge over other, kind of virtues there. Justice. Now, 2027 is going to be over justice. Justice is going to take the way. Justice is going to take charge. And as they say, that justice is joy to the righteous, and it is terror to the wicked. Justice will happen. Even the impeachment justice is going to come because the clouds have not settled yet. Justice is coming even on matters of Shah and also Sheaf, and also matters to do with the university funding model. Justice is going to come. Justice is going to prevail over tribe in 2027. Citizenry of this republic are going to choose what is just. We are not going to take any obstruction. I see the young people of this country, they do not want any obstruction. We have seen it even in Isiolo, a region that predominantly voted William Ruto to the last man in the last general election. But the youths of that region came out and told off the president about his promises. A promising government is not a delivering government. Every other person is disenchanted. Even in the impending celebrations that today had been devolved, look at the countries that have hosted the National Day celebrations in this country. There is nothing that has happened there that remains as a mark of development. A president who can visit your place 100 times but leaves no footprints, no mark. Homa Bay became the very first place he visited as the head of state. In fact, in the same week, he has visited Homa Bay several times. And I think this is the umpteenth time that is going to visit there on the Madaraka Day celebration. But what is he going to do there? Promises again. What has been taking him there? Promises. There is no commission of anything and there is nothing happening. Now again, if you look also on the other side, you'll realize that it appears that Jim Orengo is already having some second thought. He's saying, no, let's not be too fast on the dangling pecuniaries on the UDA side. Let us see on the other end what Rigathi has to offer. You see, whatever Orengo is trying to do is called a diagnosis. But Orengo is doing it without any painkiller. But history is going to judge Orengo fairly. The very way he said that regimes eat their own people. It's the same way that Jim Agri-Rengo, with his political wits and acumen, deems that it is now necessary for Raila to play the politics that really align with the populace of a country. He wants Raila to go back to the people. Now, where are the people? Everybody is in Wamunyoro as we speak. It's in Wamunyoro either by tribe, you can be in Wamunyoro either by ideology, you can be in Wamunyoro either by, you see, a conviction. So people in their thought are already saying, no, 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 enough of this. Now, what we are seeing and what is going to actually happen is emotions are going to be so high. Emotions are really going to be high in this republic. Raila on this other end is going to run around ethnic balkanization of the Luo people against, the Kikuyus. And Ruto would want to run in the middle. But now the only problem that we are going to have is that in the last general election, we had 1 million votes that were never cast in Luo Nyanza. Not the entire Nyanza, in Luo Nyanza. Now, what would happen if Raila Amolo Odinga does not vie in 2027? What will happen is that the number of Luos who are going to vote is going to be less than 45%. The Luos who are going to vote are going to be less than 45%. Now, if the total number of the Luo votes will be less than 45%, and now as we speak, Ruto is having a paltry 3.2 million of what he got in 2022. Then eventually, he's going to come second with approximately 6 million votes. Raila knows that card. Raila has sensed that he's going to fall with William Ruto. And Raila thinks that he can now only ride on the Kikuyu dockets. He can only ride on the other side because there's just no any other way. Whether he sticks with Ruto or not, Ruto is going to fail. Even if he runs, both him and Ruto, they are going to fail. But if he goes to Gachagua, he somehow wins. Now, the only problem is that Gachagua is ready to have Raila Odinga in his camp. But Gachagua is very cunning. Gachagua wants Raila in his camp as a passenger. So Raila is going to sit the way I'm sitting right now in that bus. The driver is going to be someone else. But the owner of the bus itself is going to be Rigathi Gachagua. And equally, the logbook is going to be titled Mount Kenya. And Raila is just going to be a passenger. And the reason as to why this game by Rigathi Gachagua is the smartest game is, number one, Raila is unpredictable. You see, Rigathi's impeachment has taught him a lot of lessons in the political landscape. And is today not going to toy around with it. And he doesn't want to go into the systematic kind of binds the time politicking like Kalonzo, where you endlessly fight to achieve, but you'll never get to your goal. He has decided to be very smart. He's building a ship that is watertight. And that is the reason as to why he's the only person who now wants to capture Raila in a very, very pragmatic way. Why? Because this is the only time that Raila is going to find himself in a formulation where he is lesser than a principal of a coalition. So Rigathi Gachagua is able to play this card very well, and is doing it so well. Only if Raila Amolo Odinga decides to say, enough of everything, I'm ready to be a father of a nation, ready to join Rigathi Gachagua, I'm ready to join Uhuru Kenyatta, to be part of the fathers of a nation that are ready to say, enough. Let us now build a ship for the young generation of this country to move their nation forward. That is the ship that Rigathi Gachagua is building. It is the ship of hope, and it is the ship that all the people, all the politicians who are practicing political chastity are going to board. I'm actually even seeing several goosey politicians boarding already. That is the ship that I'm seeing so many politicians are going to board. But we have to talk about the Hobson's choice. When we talk about this realignment on the other side, of course, it is going to be the winning card. Now, let us look at the Hobson's choice. What takes us to Rigathi Gachagua is the Hobson's choice. Why? Because Rigathi Gachagua has become the sacred cow. The same way Donald Trump became the sacred cow of the Republican, is the same way Rigathi Gachagua has become the sacred cow of Mount Kenya politics and also Kenya in totalis. And now, the Hobson's choice is what makes Kenyans rush to Amunyoro. Look at the legislatures that align to him. Number one, we have indeed Nyoro. The Kiharu legislature, who is beyond reproach on matters development. We got someone like Babu Owino, who is closely aligned to Kalonzo, and of course Kalonzo's ideologies are aligned to Amunyoro. But Babu Owino is a politician whom you cannot ignore at the slightest flinch. There is one man who has made a stab on the international score, a stab on the continental foe. This is Babu Owino, who was the leader of all the students, university students across Africa. There is East Kenya. This is Babu Owino, who had a bromance with Gaddafi. There is Babu Owino, whom Museveni was yapping about just the other time, that he was debasing him. And he cleverly made his statements here when Raila was being baptized to go and vie for the AUC chairmanship. We had Museveni here yapping. But now it has been adduced, it has come out in broad daylight that indeed this man is toxic. And we now understand the reason as to why Uganda is 200 years behind Kenya in terms of civility, in terms of even being cultured, and in terms of the democratic space. We understand that. Now, we see Rigathi Gachagua also titillating. You see, there is something in Kenya called testing the waters. You cannot manage it without testing the waters. Uhuru Kenyatta had to join Raila Amolo Odinga in the fight for a new constitution, to be part of the winning referendum team to become the president. Also, we had William Ruto going to oppose the referendum, not because his ideologies were opposed to it, but because William Ruto just wanted to test the waters, to know how his popularity ratings are in Kenya. William Ruto decided that he did not want to use Synovate polls. He wanted to use direct polls from the referendum. He went and opposed the constitution, and he saw that his Kalenjin backyard was strongly behind him. So even though he lost, by opposing, it gave him the impetus to soar ahead to the national limelight, knowing very well that his people were behind him. The same way, Rigathi Gachagua also wants to test the waters, to know if the Kenyans are behind him. Now, what is Rigathi Gachagua doing? He is intending to have by-elections in several parts of Kenya. He's telling the legislators that are aligned to him that, you know what, number one, even as you are still serving your populace, work. Number two, I want you to resign. Number three, I want you to go for a re-election with my party. Rigathi Gachagua is taking the greatest political risk. I'm telling you, even Wetangula cannot do this. Even Mudavadi will never do this. Kalonzo will never dream about this. Resigning, going for re-election, who will elect you? No one can dare do that. Even Ruto cannot do that. We tried as Gen Zs, he refused to go. But we are yet to do it again in 2027. This time, he will go. But the reality is, Rigathi Gachagua is testing the waters, and this man is very optimistic. If he's scared of the by-elections come to reality, I'm telling you, Ruto is going home. It is the only thing that I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to see a by-election where Wamuchomba is going to vie against Ruto's UDA.